as a deal and lay out a simple proposal. You see the rates, friend. I am being paid for every barrel you ship. If you stay in the game, you will go bankrupt. Sell to me now for Standard Oil stock or cash, or you will be crushed. Your choice. In one particular negotiation, a refinery owner made the mistake of refusing the offer. Rockefeller stood up, walked to the window, and opened it wide. Bill, come look at this view. 6 stories up. Beautiful, isn't it? The wind was howling. He approached nervously. You know, if a man were to slip here, fall out this window, all it would take is 6 seconds, and he would quickly become a name in the Cleveland obituaries. To remove your name from public obituaries, use incognito. Right now, thousands of data brokers are collecting your information, your full name. Scammers crafting phishing attacks with your details, criminals opening credit accounts in your name, or strangers showing up at your door. I created my incognito account. They've reached out to dozens of data brokers / Crayon Capital and use code Crayon Capital for 60% off.
Are you always on the go? Make trades and manage your positions at home or on the go? Wrong.
Hold up. If you're thinking about getting a degree in cybersecurity or IT, you need to check out UMBC. Low cost tuition, 100%.
One by one, door by door. In less than 3 months, 22 of the 26 refineries in Cleveland had surrendered. But then, one by one, between February and March, if they can't find you. That's incognito.com / Crayon Capital, code Crayon Capital for 60%. Off. Link in the description. Between February and March 1872, the massacre peaked. In one legendary 48-hour window, he swallowed 6 refineries, one by one, door by door. In less than 3 months, 22 of the 26 refineries in Cleveland had surrendered. But then someone leaked the secret, and the public exploded. In late March, the oil regions went ballistic. They burned Rockefeller in effigy. They marched with torches against the Anaconda. The pressure was so intense that the Pennsylvania legislature revoked the SIC charter within months. The public cheered. They thought they had won. They were wrong. Rockefeller didn't care about the South Improvement Company anymore. Why? Because by the time they killed the deal, he already owned Cleveland. Yet Cleveland was just the beginning. He began to look at the map of America like a general planning total war. What he invented next would become the blueprint for every monopoly in history. This was vertical integration. If a rival in another state refused to sell, he cut off their oxygen. He bought the companies that manufactured the white oak barrels. He bought the warehouses. He even bought the chemical plants that produced the acid needed for refining. Suddenly, his competitors found that even if they could refine oil, they couldn't find a barrel to put it in or a chemical to treat it with. But there was one final obstacle: the independent pipeline. In a last-ditch effort to survive, Pennsylvania oilmen began building a massive 110-mile pipeline to pump oil directly to the coast, bypassing Rockefeller's railroads. It was a feat of engineering meant to break Standard Oil's back. Rockefeller's response? Scorched earth. He bought strips of land across the pipeline's path to halt construction with trespassing lawsuits. When that didn't work, his teams engaged in pipe wars, sabotaging lines and bribing local officials to pull permits. By the time the pipeline was finished, the independent companies were exhausted and bankrupt. Rockefeller simply walked in and bought the pipeline for pennies on the dollar. One by one, the dominoes fell. From Cleveland to the Atlantic coast, the independent oil man was becoming an extinct species. Children watched their fathers break. By 1879, the bookkeeper had finally finished. The map. He sat atop of 90% of the entire industry. He had consolidated the chaos. He had won the great game. But there was a new problem. When you own 90% of the world, you have a massive target on your back, and that target was about to be painted red. By 1882, Rockefeller had won the war, but now he had to figure out how to rule an empire that wasn't supposed to exist. Standard Oil was now a sprawling web of dozens of companies across multiple states. Back then, American law was simple. A company in Ohio wasn't allowed to own stock in a company in Pennsylvania. His empire was a giant held together by secret handshakes and verbal gentlemen's agreements. It was fragile. So Rockefeller's lawyers invented something the world had never seen before. A ghost that could own everything and answer to no one. On January 2nd, 1882, Rockefeller and 8 associates signed a secret document. They pooled the stock of 40 different companies into one single massive entity, controlled by 9 trustees. It was called the Trust. It was a legal shell game. If a government regulator asked who owned a refinery in New York, the answer was a maze of paperwork that led nowhere. As a journalist would later write, you could argue its existence from its effects, but you could not prove it. From his office at 26 Broadway in New York, a building known as the Temple, Rockefeller wasn't just refining oil anymore. He was optimizing the world. He applied his Ledger A obsession to a global scale. He was famously obsessed with the last drop, once ordering a factory to use exactly 39 drops of solder to seal a kerosene tin because 40 was a waste and 38 leaked. That one drop saved a fortune if we multiply that across millions of tins. This was the standard way. Perfection through obsession. But Rockefeller's vision went far beyond American shores. He realized that while America had the oil, the world had the darkness. He flooded the markets of Asia with iconic blue 5-gallon tins. In China, he gave away millions of small kerosene lamps. If you give a man a lamp, you own his nights. To keep the light burning, that man had to buy Rockefeller's oil for the rest of his life. The results were staggering. He drove the price of kerosene down from 30 cents a gallon to just 8 cents. For the first time in human history, the poor could afford to stay awake after sunset. By the 1890s, the bookkeeper was worth over $900 million, roughly 1.5% of the entire American economy. But the numbers were the only things still growing. As the empire reached its peak, the man began to wither. Success was eating him from the inside out. Rockefeller developed alopecia. His hair fell out in clumps. His head, his eyebrows, even his eyelashes. He became a ghostly, hairless figure, eventually forced to wear a rotating set of wigs of different lengths to mimic natural hair growth. He lived on a diet of crackers and milk because his nerves had destroyed his digestion. And while Rockefeller was hiding in his temple, a new kind of enemy was sharpening their pen, ready to reveal the one secret the ledger couldn't hide. (1902). A storm was brewing in the offices of McClure's magazine. It was led by a woman named Ida Tarbell. She was a journalist and a survivor. Decades earlier, her father had been an independent oil man in Pennsylvania. She had watched firsthand as the Standard Oil anaconda squeezed the life out of her father's business and spirit. This was her golden opportunity for revenge. For 2 years, she became a detective hunting one thing: proof that the ghost existed. She hunted down former employees discarded by the machine. She unearthed secret contracts buried in railroad basements. She painstakingly mapped the rebates, the drawbacks, and the spy networks. But then, the investigation took a scandalous turn. A bombshell hit the headlines that no amount of corporate secrecy could hide. Devil Bill. The public learned that John was the son of a wanted criminal, a bigamist who is currently living a double life under a fake name. The mask of the deacon was ripped away. Rockefeller was paralyzed. For the first time in his life, he couldn't control the game. He refused to comment, retreating further into his estates as the public's awe turned into pure, unadulterated hatred. Tarbell's History of the Standard Oil Company became the most dangerous book in America. It gave the public a face to hate, and it gave a young, bold president the ammunition he needed. Theodore Roosevelt launched a scorched earth antitrust investigation that wound through the courts for years. May 15th, 1911, the day of reckoning arrived. The U.S. Supreme Court delivered the final blow. They declared Standard Oil an unreasonable monopoly. Their order? The empire must be destroyed. The trust was shattered into 34 separate pieces. Those fragments would eventually grow into global powers like Exxon, Mobil, and Chevron. At 72 years old, the world believed Rockefeller had finally lost. Actually, when the monopoly was broken up, Rockefeller didn't lose his ownership. He simply saw it decentralized. He still held his massive share of stock in all 34 new companies, free from the Standard name and the legal shackles of the trust. The value of those individual stocks skyrocketed. By 1916, as the world transitioned from kerosene lamps to the gasoline age, Rockefeller's wealth exploded. Front-page news across the country confirmed a staggering milestone. He still held his massive share of stock in all 34 new companies, free from the Standard name and the legal shackles of the trust. The value of those individual stocks skyrocketed. By 1916, as the world transitioned from kerosene lamps to the gasoline age, Rockefeller's wealth exploded. Front-page news across the country confirmed a staggering milestone. John D. Rockefeller had become the world's first confirmed billionaire. At a time when the average American earned just $800 a year, his personal fortune hit a literal $1 billion. He had outlasted his father, his competitors, and even the United States government. But as the gold piled up, the old man realized he had one final enemy left. One he couldn't one he couldn't crush. Time. His time was running out. He hired the world's first PR experts to scrub the Standard blood from his name, appearing in public as a kindly grandfather, handing out shiny new dimes to children. He founded the University of Chicago and the Rockefeller Foundation, funding research that eradicated hookworm and yellow fever. Was it guilt? A genuine awakening? Or the final brilliant con of a man who knew that history is written by the winners? We'll never know. What we do know is that on May 23rd, 1937, the machine finally stopped. John D. Rockefeller died at the age of 97. He missed his goal to live to 100, but he hit his other goal, to make $100,000 by a margin so large it defies human comprehension. As Rockefeller himself once put it, I believe the power to make money is a gift from God, and since I have been given it, I believe it is my duty to make money and still more money, and to use the money I make for the good of my fellow man according to the dictates of my conscience.
The DraftKings Sports app is now available nationwide. So if you're anywhere from Florida to Texas to California,
Detroit on 2. You know, it's like week 3. If you don't want to get in the first innings, making the playoffs is so hard. A must-win almost for the M's. And this for 2 points, and it's in and out. So for Detroit Brewer, Sims, and Akari Tucker. Right Monroe inside, the drop step, and the banker's good. Needles left. Look out. Listen. Step to a baker, that's nice. Let's say hello to Chris Haynes. Chris.
Hey guys, you see a glaring change right here for the Detroit Amps. I'm told that Coach Rick Mulholland wanted to go with something different. Nazir Kaur is their starting point guard. He's one of their top players for the squad, but being 0-2 is a player.
Yeah, so but when you're down 0-2, you gotta come up with something. Brewer inside, can't connect. Tip move good. Third chance to do it. Snakes the way and Stewart with the putback. It's 6-0 Dallas.
Gotta finish. You had his opportunity, you gotta finish. This has been the problem. Without Joe Johnson, this has been the problem. They don't have a primary scorer.
Takari Tucker launches. Sims slammed for the rebound. Rice kept it in bounce in the corner. Allen resets. Rice the drive. Finger roll is good. Just like the Iceman. It's 8-0.
The players are, in the offseason. And what works for their team. And he knows how his mom wants to play the game. Mom coach. That's brilliant.
Brewer push, banks it in, and wants a foul too. Won't get it, but the Amps are on the board.
See, I'm not sure why they didn't call that foul, because it was obvious that he pushed him on the shot.
8-2 Dallas. Monroe for Clyde. Backs down Brewer. Fade away for TJ Clyde. Is good. Back edge.
Watch power when they play, how many
Scoring for Detroit with Sims and Brewer. Back toward deflected, taken by Dante Green, and he scores. So Green in for Brewer, and he completes it. And the Amps with 4 of the last 6 points.
hours left.
I'm trying to scroll around the basket. To me right here, this has got to be a bucket. Right on cue? Yeah. Shoulders, he gets the ball down the post. He's always got Rick's thinking it too. Come on, bounce in the house. Let's go. Yes, exactly.